Can I get a puff of that? What's going on, everyone? It's the Niskel. Welcome back to Resident Evil Village. So you know how we fought the pack leader and got a bunch of treasures? Well, we're not done yet. We've taken out all of Moreau's territory, we've gotten all the treasures that he had to offer with the new crank, but there are so many other things that we can be getting right now. Look at these treasure chests. We still have some work to do. So before we go and humor Heisenberg, we are actually going to take a detour, and yeah, we are going to get rich in this episode while fighting for it. You'll see what I mean a bit later. The first place we're going to go is actually back towards where we came out of House Dimitrescu. You're going to be noticing a few familiar areas, and this is where it all kind of comes together. Like, you've seen a few things that you can't interact with yet, but now we can actually interact with it. Consider this where the game is starting to wind down, but not really. The first thing we're going to take care of is this. I don't know why this stumped me, but it did. Luiza's necklace. We got this as a little side trip. You can remove the stone, and I don't know why first time playthrough me, or hell, even second playthrough me, didn't even consider to examine it closer. Because when you remove the stone, you can sell the jewel, and inside is a key. Luiza's key was inside her necklace. You use the key on this chest, and here you go. There, see? I told you we'd be cleaning up a few things we haven't seen in a while. Caesar's goblet? Caesar's goblet? I don't know, but I know we can sell it at a high price. Just like the necklace stone. Well, not exactly a high price on that one, but the goblet, yes. We're also going to be finding the rest of that necklace, so if you've been following along, you're about to get a huge payday. And over here, this is probably... Okay, I know I go into hyperbole, but as soon as you get the crank, you are able to see two of the most interesting places in the village. One upstream, one downstream, and you can get them both at the same time. As soon as you get the crank, Treasure City. And all of this is optional. You don't have to do this. I'm mainly doing it because all the upgrades in this game cost an arm and a leg and maybe two of my fingers. So yeah, I need the money. And also, something we haven't seen in Resident Evil for a little bit, actual puzzles. They might not be the most advanced puzzles that Resident Evil's ever seen, but it's still something. Like, oh my god, Resident Evil, you remembered! You remembered that puzzles are part of your makeup! Ah. Oh, it's fantastic. So this area might look familiar to you. We haven't been here since we took down Lady D. And surprisingly, it doesn't even feel like that long ago that we took her down. Using the crank here, lowering this bridge, and we are outside of her castle. We've made it all the way back. The only reason we are doing this is because there is a well that we couldn't activate yet. We didn't have the well wheel, but since we do now, we can get it. A lot of this stuff today doesn't really need too much extra explanation. So we are actually going to be talking about concept art today as one of the major talking points. I'll go over what we're supposed to do in the specific areas, but after that, we're going straight into some of the stuff that didn't make it to the final version of Resident Evil Village. There are a lot of fascinating stories to tell and things that were cut. And I've been waiting for the perfect moment to divulge these details. I know a lot of people in the comments immediately jumped the gun and went, oh, hey, did you know this? Did you know this? I did. Thank you. I appreciate it. But there's a time and a place for all that information. Here's the time and the place. This puzzle has a lot of items strewn all over the place, so be sure to get those. The main objective is to lift all these up high enough and in a formation that you can actually walk over them to drop into that cell in there. So you'll see we'll be heading through this entire area, we'll be doing some climbing, and eventually we will reach a button, a series of buttons, I should say, to lower and raise the spike traps. And that's how we get across. So, fairly simple. Not the most advanced puzzle, but again, at least it remembered. So why don't we go ahead and dive into the thing I like to talk about, is what actually didn't make it to the final game. There was an art book that came with the collector's edition of this game. It came in the Trauma Pack DLC, along with, you know, unlocking Village of Shadows early and all that. It's called The Tragedy of Ethan Winters. A really cool digital art book, and we'll actually be able to see it in person after the game is complete. It actually unlocks, you know, all the concept art and everything. What on earth? Hey guys, I found a missing texture. Okay, anyway. It has concept art for Resident Evil 7 as well as Resident Evil Village. It had initial designs for the Baker characters who didn't even make the cut. There are characters that you are not supposed to know about because they didn't make the cut. It also has special artwork showing how characters could have looked, such as Chris Redfield. He was actually supposed to be a lot older. Older looking, I should say. He is older in this timeline, but he was supposed to look a bit more decrepit. Just by a bit. Going over to Village, since we've already taken care of Biohazard, Village has a lot more interesting details that we need to talk over, such as the length of time between Louisiana and here. Mia was actually going to be wheelchair-bound in Village because she was still recuperating from the attack in Louisiana. But they decided to change that around, and she's totally fine. Kinda. Ethan was actually going to have a backpack instead of the attaché case. The item boxes were also set to make a return, but those were cut in order to make it more like Resident Evil 4. Kinda help development further in that regard. Big gem, please get. There you go, that's the puzzle. Easiest thing ever. The only thing I'll mention here that's actually worth a damn is if you feel like you're missing an item, at this point, you are. There is a lockpick at the bottom of the ladder. Be sure to pick it up. It's hidden in the water. Another cool thing that was cut in the planning stages was safe rooms were not going to have typewriters. They were going to have cameras instead. It makes sense to keep with the typewriter motif. Resident Evil doesn't really like to stray away from things that totally worked every single time. So, yeah, good choice to keep with the typewriters. There we go, we finished up the well. And now we can actually combine the Pigeon Blood Ruby along with the necklace for one of the biggest treasures in the game. That's pretty awesome. Having both gems in there creates Dimitrescu's necklace. You want to sell this for big money. Another thing that was immediately brought up, like no joke, 2 episodes in, somebody had already plastered this in the comments and I had to delete it because I wanted to talk about it. Ada Wong was going to be a part of this game. She would have worn a Plague Doctor mask and would be doing her own stuff in the background. And in the cutscene with the 4 lords, she was going to save Ethan. She was going to interrupt that entire monologue and save Ethan Winters. Thank the Lord she was cut, because that would create time paradoxes out the ass. And also, her being in here conflicted with a lot of the scenarios they wanted to create. This part's really cool. It's a very simplistic puzzle. You've already done it before. You need to light the torches. But not only that, you need to do something else in order to get an achievement. Lighting the torches is the easy part. Lighting the last torch in the room we're about to go into, that takes a little doing. Once you unlock the room on the right, an infinitely spawning zombie will come towards you. You can kill it as many times as you want, you don't get any items for killing it. The main reason this zombie exists, no joke, is to light itself on fire. Now, granted, this makes the zombies twice as deadly. It actually deals more damage and is more aggroed when you light it on fire. but it dies very easily. I think it takes like one shot in order to die. You get a very easy achievement, which is nice. I just wanted to show off that it will respawn after you kill it, so you're not out all the money, trust me. I panicked the first time I played through this. But yeah, he'll come back, you'll light him on fire, and you will direct him towards this torch, which will open up the real treasure down here. Now that we've gone through a few changes that were made to the game itself, let's do a little trivia from the Four Lords, because, you know, they're kind of the highlights of the game. Dimitrescu's initial design, she was still going to be a vampire, but instead of the giant sharp fingernails, she used clippers. Hedge clippers. Not nearly as intimidating as gigantic fingernails. House Beneviento was actually going to be haunted by ghosts. You would have been dealing with Donna Beneviento's family, who were far deceased and were haunting the place. I'm glad they went with the dolls. Definitely more nightmare fuel, especially with the baby. Moreau was always going to be a merman. In fact, there's another bit of concept art where you can see the parasite inside him is actually where the tendrils come from on his back. But speaking of his back, his parasite was initially going to be a girl he had feelings for. He basically sewed her to his back. That's... Ugh. Don't like it. Since Heisenberg is still not present in the story, I mean, we've already heard him, we've seen him, but I'm going to be steering clear of spoilers just a little bit. Heisenberg was going to have his entire family here in the village. It wasn't just him. His father was going to be the village leader, and he'd be the one you'd have to fight instead of Heisenberg himself. There's another bit of imagery that I'm not showing due to spoiler territory, so I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, I'm going to say, if you're going to look up this art book, wait until the end of the game if you've never played it before. There's still a few surprises up its sleeve. This area is so cool. You come over here, and before you know it, there's your last rare animal. The finest fish. Literally a goldfish. And with that, we have all that we need to finish up all the Duke's recipes. Another reason I like this area is, with it being completely optional, this part actually adds to the story. I'm not kidding. This part adds to the overall plot. And you can miss it. If you are beelining straight to the end of the game, you are going to miss this. Oh. The roots of the entire village. Those aren't roots. I've seen that before. Oh no, you're kidding. I mean, you want to come down here anyway because, my god, they get you ready for war. But then there's this. An antique coin from the Baker House. That's a treasure that you can sell. Not only that, pretty decent foregrip for your new shotgun. Makes it easier to handle, cuts down on recoil, increases the fire rate, which is fantastic. Here we go. So, yeah, this is totally worth it. And you can miss it. This kills me. Because I love when you're rewarded for, you know, going outside the main plot line and finding some extra things for yourself. And then you come to this. This is a connection to Biohazard. It's the mold. I hate this. I mean, I totally love this from a story standpoint. But I could have sworn we blew that mold sky high. We blew that giant face made of mold out of the water. But it's here, and there's a lot of it. And it's still active, too. Dear Lord, is it active? See, these are the small extras. the little bit of, extra love that Capcom put into this game. Because if you're going to add to the overall story of Resident Evil and not give extra attention to the Biohazard plotline, that just seems kind of counterintuitive. But this part, this makes me smile, Capcom. It makes me smile. thank you for adding this bit. You didn't have to, but you did. I kind of wish you had to come here, but, whatever, a little bit of nitpicks here and there. So while we're on our way back, let's go ahead and talk just a little bit more concept art. I'm almost out of different talking points. It's a fantastic read, because if you get that special art book, you can see the images, but you can also see the director's commentary. This is not only for the art book, by the way, this is also for the concept art you unlock after beating the game. Let me talk about things that drastically changed. There was actually going to be a religious leader in the village who would turn into a dragon. But instead of that, Mother Miranda came to be, and then they gave that dragon transformation over to Dimitrescu. So, repurposing, so to speak. And yes, you are all correct out there. The Duke was going to be the Fifth Lord. He was always going to be a large tub of fun. But this also brings something very interesting to me. The designers wanted to make characters that were more creative and that didn't look like regular humans. They used a special bit of technology to make the Bakers actually look more human, which is, to good effect. But they wanted the Lords to look larger than life, and that's not a fat joke, Duke. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Intricate design coin looks like the one from the Baker house. I collected enough of these to know that's the exact one, Ethan. Oh, that gold lady statue is based on Dimitrescu. That's narcissistic. That's pretty good, Ethan. Oh, that's fantastic. Let's go ahead and sell it and see how much cash we can get. Okay, 8,000 for the stone. That's pretty good. Only 8,000 for the coin. I'm calling that into question, but then again, it is a coin. 50 grand for that necklace.
Now, this is something to splurge on.
Oh, shoot, that's regular dialogue. But, yeah, we are doing extremely good on money. And here's the last dish.
How to cook.
It's also noted in the art book that Duke is a foodie. This is why he cooks for you.
For the wait. Here's your share.
Just loves that food. And I do too. Now we're faster.
I wouldn't mind having that again.
Same. Now that you have created all 6 recipes,
This is all
everything else is bonus. You can sell your food if you want. You actually can't eat it because it's raw, you monster. So yeah, you can sell the excess meat.
It's sure to be a good meal.
It was a good meal, thank you. I feel light as a feather. That is all the extra treasure hunting we're doing. We are actually going to do one more optional thing, and I love how this comes along. So Heisenberg is literally leading you towards where you need to go next. The show must go on, as the sign says. This is a nice bit of design. He wants you to come this way because, well, you're either going to die by the Stronghold's hands, or you're going to die by his hands. Whatever. But now we get to unlock the final door in the entire village that needs this key. And once you enter, it looks totally normal. In fact, we're here. This is where we need to go next. But don't do that. Hang a left. Trust me. Over in this area is another optional place where we can get mad cash, and this is also missable. I shouldn't say missable because most players would just see what it is, see the adversity inside, and go, yeah, nah, I'm not about that. This is going to be tough. They throw another sub-boss at you, and it's not fun. It is so friggin' difficult, but you gotta do it. I gotta show you all the cool stuff you can get in here. Now, if you're doing an all files run, getting all the reading material, you have to come here. But just like the last mini-boss, you don't have to kill it. You just have to get past it. But I'll still show you how to kill it, and in fact, I have another talking point that we can go over as we're fighting the damn thing. I would also like to note that if you are having trouble finishing the dishes for the Duke, you want to come here because it has extra food that you can use. For me, this will be all excess that I can sell for cash. Not for a lot of cash, but you know what I mean. But it's still cool that you can give away extra, or that they planned for players to miss some fish or some meat, and you can get extras here. So, good design. Hello, pig. I'm sorry it had to go right up the butt. God, that's gotta suck. But hey, 2 meat, we'll take it. I want to do a peanut percent run where none of the animals die. Not even in the crossfire. Which means I won't kill a single lichen either. Yeah, okay, whatever. Somebody just screamed. I could have sworn everyone was dead in this village, but nope. We had one more. Welcome to Otto's Mill. There's a lot of death around here. Of course. Of freaking course. Couldn't just have one troll with a giant axe. You gotta have 2. Once we start this fight, I'll tell you how to beat him, because this arena is actually brilliantly designed in order to fight him. You have 2 floors that you can avoid this guy in. There's explosive barrels in a couple well-placed areas. This is going to be a rough fight. Let's get it started. He's having too much fun killing the guy we just heard scream. Hi! So something you need to know about this fight. There will be flying enemies that come in from the opening above him. Kill them first. Flashbangs are actually your best friend. They will disrupt the ability to see for the troll, as well as the flying enemies, so keep that in mind. And then just wail away at him. And speaking of wailing away at him, I'm gonna do something I haven't done in a hot minute and bitch about somebody's review of Resident Evil Village, because it is so goddamn poorly written, I couldn't believe it was actually from the Washington Post. I'm only gonna read you a few select quotes because, my god, I'm not even convinced they played the game, so check it. Because of our view through Ethan's eyes and the game's insistence on obscuring his face, we further identify with him. He becomes the player personified. With nothing to separate the player from Ethan, his moronic mutterings feel that much more alienating. It's no surprise published articles already peg Ethan Winters as the worst protagonist in all major video games, and that he's the series' most forgettable character. Most forgettable character, and yet he had a direct sequel that is a numbered sequel in a Resident Evil game. He is almost matched for the number of sequels that he has been in, and he was introduced in 7, and got a direct sequel in 8. He has cheesy one-liners because Resident Evil thrives off cheesy one-liners. It is a horror camp game. And then, oh, this is the best part. Quoting a review from Skill Up, which is a YouTube channel, thanks Washington Post, Ethan is this massive charisma vacuum. He has no presence, no agency, no personality. You know, except for the one-liners you've already bitched about, and the fact that he can now properly defend himself, because he's had military training. He's this wet mop of a character who slops awkwardly from scene to scene, and his biggest moments of character development are when enemies cut off a new part of his anatomy. Oh yeah, about Ethan not being able to defend himself, Ethan was able to beat the Baker family without training and with pure determination. And now, he is destroying the entire village hierarchy with military training, which means he could get better with time. This isn't even his final form! And then of course, as Ethan is trying to save the people, the last of the villagers, and the entire house is burning. Trapped in a burning house made of wood, he decides to ram a pickup truck through its foundation. The player is then forced to manually execute this extremely short-sighted plan. Grab the car keys and go. Ethan's the kind of guy who would cook with a frying pan made out of wood. You have no choice but to play along. See, that's interesting because if you drove that truck and it actually crashed through the wall, it would lead outside and you would escape. It wouldn't matter if the entire foundation fell, which it wouldn't, by the way, because there was a lot more foundation to hold the house up. You would have escaped. In the moment, he had that plan, and in the moment, it only got halfway there. It was a plan better than just standing there. And then continuing that train of thought, but in an entertainment era of Nathan Drake and Tony Stark wannabes, where everyone is a dashing hero, quick with a joke, and unflappable in demeanor, I can't help but appreciate Ethan's clumsiness. It's like sending Mr. Bean into Transylvania to kill Dracula. His physical presence will be under siege at all times, but like the British buffoon, Ethan Winters persists. Oh my god, do you just hate fun? Comparing performances between Maggie Robinson and Todd Soley, the actors for Lady Dimitrescu and Ethan respectively, it's like watching a character written by Tommy Wiseau, and also performed by Tommy Wiseau, acting in the same scene as Cate Blanchett. What? When talking about the tragedy of Ethan Winters, despite him being partially butchered in Louisiana while going through hell to save his wife in Resident Evil 7, Ethan doesn't ever really learn anything? What the fuck are you talking about? He has done nothing but learn from that experience. Oh, and this is my favorite. This is close to the end of the review. He has no character arc. My growing affection for him aside, Ethan Winters isn't likely to enter the pantheon of great video game characters. Delicious. It's almost like they played the opening and decided, nah, I'm not about this guy. He has no character arc? This entire game, 7 and 8, is his character arc. And now I'm done bitching. This is a nice little entry. So Otto, presumably Otto, actually gets newspapers from the Duke. The Duke goes out of the village, comes back in, gives newspapers. And I kind of understand why Mother Miranda wouldn't like that, because of this right here. He sees an image of Umbrella, something that looks familiar in this village. And while, yeah, I'm gonna dock it like a point or two for, again, connecting the overall Resident Evil plot, you didn't have to do that. Having Mother Miranda being wary of the outside news getting into the inside, that's a good detail. Also, after beating the giant axeman, this is where you can get all your extra meat. So if you did miss an animal or two around the village, you can get one of every type, I believe, at least one of every type. So this is a good way to finish up your recipes just in case you didn't get them all. I know everybody's entitled to their opinion when it comes to reviews, but when a review is tragically wrong, as in you can point out all the issues if you actually play the goddamn game, that's when I start making fun of you. You know, I kinda goofed here. You weren't supposed to kill the Lycans like that. I mean, you could have. You can kill them any way you want, but that's why these barrels are out here. It's so you can fight them and blow them up if you wanted to. I'm gonna go visit the Duke real quick and sell all this stuff. Be right back. Hello.
As you wish.
I wish to sell the goodies I got, such as the giant crystal axe.
And buy it I will.
And the angel, which was your true reward, I guess. Big old air quotes on that one.
And we'll do them for a small fee.
I actually do not have anything else to purchase. I mean, I can buy a couple fun things for what we're doing next.
Yes,
oh my god, he actually limited the amount of shotgun shells I could buy. Shoot. That fight actually took quite a bit of resources, so I'm glad I have the extra pocket change.
Have a wonderful adventure.
Thanks, I think. Let's go ahead and save. We're done with treasure hunting. Next time on Resident Evil Village, we're going up to Heisenberg's stronghold, and if he's a man of his word, we'll be able to get the last of the flasks. I hope. This is going to be a rough one. See you guys next time. Good luck.